Good evening, and welcome to the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board meeting. I just got into my computer, so I found my password after about 15 tries, so we're good. The board did meet in closed session, and we have no reportable action. At this point, Mr. Mohagan, the mic is yours. Would you please start us off in the Pledge of Allegiance? Very well done. Thank you very much. Superintendent Kramer, is there any adjustments to our agenda as presented?
Yes, President Driller. We would like to move item 9, the Glenshire Elementary School Showcase, before the superintendent's report.
I will make that note. And would anyone care to make a motion to approve the agenda with the noted adjustment?
I will make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, public comment. I have no notes. Is there any public comment at this point? Seeing none, we'll close public comment and we'll open to school showcase. Superintendent Kramer?
It is my pleasure to invite Principal Cuddle up to the podium. Now it is.
Good evening, Board, President Driller, and Superintendent Chief Learning Officer Kramer. I'm Rachel Cuddle, and I'm the principal of Glenshire Elementary School. And it is an honor to be able to share with you how Glenshire Elementary is striving for perfection, and in doing so, achieving excellence this year. At Glenshire Elementary, our vision is that our students love to read and read to achieve. And our expectations are that all, not just students, but all are kind, safe, respectful, and responsible. We use this language in everything we do, in all of our communications with students 100 times a day, 1,000 times a day. And at the end of the last year, with our 5th graders who started in kindergarten when I started at that school, we wanted to see how embedded this language was in them. We asked them a simple question: what does it mean to be an eagle? And they all responded, all 93. And as you can see from this small selection of responses, they feel connected. They feel part of the Eagle community. They do love to read, and they're achieving at high levels and feel supported in that achievement. This survey showed that by the time our little eaglets fly off to middle school, they've internalized our values and those expectations and take them with them. Last year, speaking of values, last year we identified our 6 values for Glenshire Elementary School. And we worked with those values, and at the end of the last year, we focused on community at our board update. That's when we had them come and sing and talked about how we come together through music and art. This year, we decided to take that identification of our values to the next level, and we identified standards of excellence for each of those 6 values. What does it mean that we're all agreeing to if we say this value? What does it look like? And how can we call each other if we're not actually meeting those values? So we spent that time defining them and focused on the Brene Brown statement that living into our values means that we do more than profess our values. We practice them. We walk our talk. We are clear about what we believe and hold important, and we take care that our intentions, words, thoughts, and behaviors align with those beliefs. We can't live into values that we can't name. So we named them. And this year, we would like to focus on 2 more values with you, and those are achievement and positivity. All right.
Hello. I'm Kyle Mohagan, the assistant principal at Glenshire Elementary School. And as Rachel mentioned, We are focusing this presentation on achievement and positivity, and this is the mean green educating machine that delivers and supports achievement through positivity with all of our students. And in speaking of achievement, we want to prepare our students for middle school and high school and beyond, and these are our goals for this year. So looking at our CASP goals, we want 72% of our students to meet or exceed standard on the ELA CASP, and 68% to meet or exceed standard on the math CASP assessment. And so to help do that, we designed instructional opportunities for all of our students to get what they need where they're at. And so as you can see, we kind of interlinked our special education intervention, grade level, above grade level, GATE, all of those things kind of work together to support students where they are. And that's in perfect alignment with our strategic plan for the school district, in which we're focused on academic achievement and support systems. And so now we're going to hear from some of our intervention specialists to talk about what they do.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for having us here today. I'm Jenny Saldana, and I'm an enhanced paraprofessional at Glenshire Elementary. We feel so lucky to be able to build relationships and reading skills simultaneously each day with our reading students. As a part of the intervention program, we use the Dibbles assessment to test kindergarten through 5th grades at the beginning, middle, and end of the school year. Dibbles assesses students in the areas of letter recognition, phonemic awareness, letter sounds, decoding, word reading, reading accuracy, fluency, and comprehension. After the testing is completed, we are able to use the results to differentiate our instruction. Every 2 weeks, we retest the intervention students for progress monitoring. We want to ensure that they are on the right track.
I'm Natalie Chappell. I am also a reading intervention teacher. In kindergarten, we assist the teachers by providing an additional science of reading lesson during centers. In 1st and 2nd grades, we do further assessments using SIPs to group the students according to their individual areas of need. We then use the SIPs, systematic instruction in phonological awareness, phonics, and sight words to strengthen their literacy skills. In 3rd grade, we use SIPs lessons and LLI for reading comprehension. In 5th grade, students use Read Naturally Live to increase student accuracy, fluency, and comprehension.
What about 4th grade? In 4th grade, we are trying something new. We have some small groups that practice Read Naturally Live and a large group of 18 that is subdivided into 3 literature circles. An additional large group of 21 goes to GATE. This allows the 4th grade teachers to meet with the remaining small groups in their classrooms during Walk to Learn. Our small group instruction is intentional and targeted. Who doesn't love a game? In these photos, students are engaged in fun activities used to boost their reading skills. Here we have nonsense, word go fish, and word array races. They also enjoy letter matching, building nonsense words, and playing letter sound bingo.
Hello, my name is Wendy McKechnie. I teach 3rd grade at Glenshire Elementary School, and my slide is about intentionality in the classroom. And so our teachers have all committed to our PDSA plans that are designed around high yield and intentional strategies to meet all the needs of all of our students. We all have identified our focus students who stay with us all 5 days a week during that reading block, whom we teach with our strategic interventions. We use pre-assessments to find out what our students know and have not yet mastered, and then tailor our lessons to focus on those specific skills that are needed. We diligently progress monitor and spend time every 2 weeks as a grade level team to analyze our data and look at student work samples and check progress. In fact, even today, we just had the opportunity to share our successes and learnings at our staff meeting. And overall, all of our students are growing. Some of the pictures here, you can see, that's me. showing a sentence frame that we learned from letters. And then we have students working in different groups, differentiated instruction, classroom groupings, focused assessment, informed instruction based on assessment results, and just customized learning based on student needs.
Hi, it's nice to see you again. I'm Ashley Donahue. I'm the accelerated learning teacher at Glenshire and Truckee Elementary School. Another strategic grouping at Glenshire is GATE. Instruction is targeted to focus on advanced academics, creative productivity, and task commitment to support the social and emotional skills. In the accelerated learning program and at Glenshire, we meet students where they're at, making fluid grouping time purposeful so that we ensure students that are above grade level are not just maintaining, but they are growing as well. One way that we target deep thinking is using the depth and complexity thinking tools and having students utilize upper levels of Bloom's taxonomy, such as analysis, evaluation, synthesis, and creation. I work with the GATE students 3 days a week, 40 minutes a session. We saw the need for the strategic group instruction to be extended with more access to these levels of thinking so that we can meet the needs and grow social emotional skills through literacy. This led to GATE students having class 5 days a week consistently. 3 days a week are spent with myself, focusing on GATE objectives and GATE curriculum, and 2 days are spent with the wellness center specialist, Elizabeth Bell.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Elizabeth, as Ashley mentioned, and as Wellness Center Specialist, I'm responsible, or part of my job is really to look after the well-being and the emotional support of all the students at Glenshire. And there's so many exciting things that I could talk about tonight that are happening in the Wellness Center with Rachel Falk. We're working a lot on conflict resolution skills, daily mindfulness, emotional regulation. But tonight I really want to share enthusiasm for a new project, a new idea that we have going, combining explicit social emotional instruction with literacy instruction. And to illustrate our vision for this, I wanted to share a project I've been working on with our 4th grade GATE students. 2 days a week, as Ashley mentioned. We've read the novel Shiloh by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor, which is a perfect vehicle to introduce the skills of empathy and multiple perspective taking, and both are key components of healthy social emotional development. During the first week or so of the project, we were really operating on that lower level of Bloom's taxonomy that Ashley mentioned. Students were remembering events, they were learning about and understanding the characters and how they fit together. In the later weeks, we jumped to a much higher level task, preparing for a mock trial in which one of the main characters of the novel will be on trial for animal abuse. And so the students all chose roles to be either attorneys, witnesses, jurors, and now they're really working at that higher level of the pyramid, evaluating which pieces of evidence from the text will be irrefutable in court, and creating original evaluation forms for the jury to use, determining the criteria for which by which the jurors will determine the verdict. So they're engaged in a lot of deep thinking, a lot of deep feeling, which is really exciting to see. Following this mock trial, our hope is to dive into more explicit SEL teaching, empathy, and how multiple perspective taking is really a key component of building one's empathy. Throughout the year after that, we're hoping to use more fiction and nonfiction text to address other SEL topics that we've sort of identified would be useful to our GATE students in particular: perfectionism, excessive worry, perseverance and grit, things like that. And I just want to end by saying this is a work in progress, and I'm really excited to be working on a team with Ashley, Karen Martin from the district, our administrators, to sort of fine tune it and see what the implementation can grow into. So thank you.
And we didn't have students able to come with us tonight, so we interviewed two to share with us how they feel about these strategic groupings, especially the extended time. This first student says that reading group is fun because my teacher is really nice and makes it feel good while we are working on our reading. She is patient and she pushes us to get better and better. Read Naturally Live is an awesome program because it gives you interesting stories to read and gets you to read faster and faster and more accurately. I have been working on my reading for a really long time, and I'm proud of my growth. Right now I am reading Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, and I am loving it. And she is graduating from the supports that she was receiving, and it's such an honor and a joy to see this growth since she was little. And our other student is a fourth grade student who has the 2 extended gate days with the social emotional lessons. And I had the honor to cover that class on one of the days they were working in it, and to hear the feeling and the empathy that they're growing for each position, and then holding themselves accountable for finding evidence within the text that truly is irrefutable. They were saying, well, he thought he heard something. They said, oh, is that irrefutable? And they were so excited to dive in and get deeper. And so he said, for Walk to Learn, I get to go to GATE classroom for Thursday and Friday reading group with Mrs. Bell. The whole GATE class read a book about a dog named Shiloh. And now we are working on a mock trial about animal cruelty. I get to be on the prosecution against the character Judd. To get evidence, we read through the book and to find evidence of law breaking and animal cruelty to support our claim. I like the assignment because we get to do activities to grow our brains and dig deeper into the book. It's cool to learn about the laws. I really like getting to stay in the gate room for the 5 days because it allows me to think at a deeper level and learning ahead of time. It's also nice to go to the same place all week and be consistent. I'm thankful for Miss Donahue and Miss Bell. It's so cool to hear in their language upholding our values. Positivity is in that, and their achievement, and that 2 students from 2 wildly different perspectives felt that they could achieve anything and are. It is an honor to work with this team, to hear them celebrate their PDSA cycles, to hear the intentionality. They make my job easy and wonderful and joyous, and it is a pleasure to share with you all of that. So thank you for having us tonight.
That was awesome. Thank you. Any board comments?
I always want to say the showcases are my favorite part of being on the board. It's just so exciting to see what's happening within all the schools at that level, and just the creativity coming out of the teachers and the administrators, and how you're kind of addressing the wide variety of needs that students have. So I just find it very exciting.
Well, I wanted to thank you for our gift last week. Also, this is very special. And the little, it was so nice. And to express across the district how appreciative we all are for the board recognition texts and emails and letters that we received. So thank you guys. It also, I mean, it would be impossible to not see how you are making it fun again, and that everybody had to go through a certain sort of reconstruction post-COVID to figure out what education was actually going to look like and feel like. And it was questionable. You know, teaching is very hard work, and I have to say, in the back of my mind, I was worried, you know, but this just puts all my concerns to rest, in particular to see how exuberant you all are about your work. And I know how hard it is to get up every single morning and get out there and do it, but you're doing it with such joy and beauty. It's just wonderful to witness. And then there was something else I was going to say, but as we were talking about earlier, my cognitive related decline is starting to kick in here. Oh, I know. I got it. Thank you. 2 things. The wellness centers, first of all, Elizabeth Elizabeth, thank you so much, and Kim Bradley and everybody who spearheaded that whole movement. You know, 15 years ago, there was no such thing, and it was a dream. And we wanted it first at Truckee High, and oh, wouldn't that be great if we could also have it at North Tahoe High, and wouldn't that be great if we could have it at the middle schools, and now we have it at the elementary schools, which just speaks to my heart, knowing how much it's needed. And I know I hear firsthand of the work you are all doing. So kudos to all of you for making that happen, and to the county and to the district for continuing to fund it. And then the Accelerated Learner Program, which we technically aren't really using GATE, we're using Accelerated Learner, right? Am I still hip with the language? Both, okay. And that also was a program that was literally just a dream in 2008, 2009, 2010. And now here it is, full force. The kids are embracing it, and they're meeting their potential, and it just continues to show as they accelerate throughout the upper grades. So really good work, and everyone who's doing that. And then just special education too. I cannot go without mentioning how critical all special education is in this district, in particular at the elementary school level, when no one's really sure what the diagnosis is. Everyone's trying to figure out how to tune in on how to meet the needs of these children. And you're all doing just a fantastic job in general ed too. I see you all back there, my kids' past teachers. You guys are all amazing. And just, I think we're really excited to continue this showcase program, as well as us visiting the sites. We made a huge commitment to be visiting each site and coming out and really seeing, hands on the ground, what everyone's up to, and see all the little smiling faces and get a chance to actually be on site, which we're really excited about. So thank you all very much.
Yay. I'm psyched that you guys all came. That's a lot, and I appreciate, and I'm sure all of us appreciate it, but that's a lot to be here. But it is awesome to see it in a nutshell, and I think every one of you, every school does something a little bit differently. And I do think that when we go to visit, it's always like a little bit more to organize. Like, this is all what you do. Like, so we come in and it's all like formal, and so this gives us a chance to see what you guys really do. And I know that I go just to all the plays and all the activities, so this is good to see what you're really doing. But I think it's just nice to see again, after COVID or whatever, but you guys are all there, like it's a team. And I think that everybody's looking at what's gonna support the kid or kids best. But we've talked a lot about it, what's supporting you guys. And I think that that's been a really big push for all of us, is that you teachers and professionals are putting a lot in every day to make these kids work. And I know that we are working on our side too, what can we do for you guys? Because it's a lot. I work at Alpine, and I run the little kids program, and I have some moms and dads that are coaches, and we get little Eagle coupons or whatever we get, and I'm like, dude, you need more. I've so looked at now my moms that come to the ski team, so that you guys are parents, but you're also teachers and educators, and yeah, I gave them only $10, but it was worth it. But it's, again, just so you know, acknowledging that there's a lot going on in your realm of what you're doing, and we want to make sure that you guys are taken care of, and at least, if you have any problems, just talk to Rachel. No, thank you very much. That was awesome. Just want to say too that I do not have, I'm not sure, I don't know where that jacket was, of that green jacket. I don't have one. I'll run the walkathon. But no, thank you very, very much. And with that, we're going to go quickly into Superintendent Kramer's report, and we'll give you a chance to slowly. Thanks, you guys. Yay. Bye, Andy Beatty, wherever you are.
Well, thank you, President Triller. And for tonight's update, I'll be providing a progress report on the district strategic plan that was adopted last June. And as a quick reminder, last year we created the plan by collecting input from the board leadership teams, staff, parents, families, community partners. And then we had a 47-person task force who reviewed all of that input and helped consolidate it into the strategic plan. And then over the summer, the executive team worked to create actions. So tonight, I'm going to give you an update on those actions. There are 23 actions planned for the current school year. And at this mid-year check-in, each action has been assigned a progress monitoring symbol. So you'll see either a green box with the white check mark, meaning complete, an orange box for in progress, or a red box, meaning not started yet. And as I reviewed the actions, I was looking kind of at two aspects in order to assign it a symbol. First, I looked at the action and at the verb to really see what the intent was for the work. And since this is the first year of our strategic plan, you're going to notice that some actions start with words that are more like implement or create. And then in other cases, the actions that the cabinet wrote were capturing work that we had already started that aligns well with the plan. And so with those actions, we'll actually have a finished product by the end of the year. The second aspect I was reviewing when I was considering the action was just what evidence of success or task completion do we have at this point of time. And as you can see on the summary slide, there is a lot to celebrate. All three of the focus areas, and those focus areas are academic achievement, support systems, and community connections. They all have actions that are in progress. And even though that we're only halfway through the school year, some of the actions are complete. And this is thanks to the incredible team and the hard work of their staff. They're leading the implementation of the actions and using these focus areas and the identified priorities to guide their work. I do want to acknowledge that in community connections, we have 2 actions not started yet, and I'll review that in a couple of slides. Before we review each action, I want to share that the purpose of tonight's update is to provide a broad overview of the actions. Even though I'm not going into the details during tonight's update, you have heard about these actions before, as you can see on the spreadsheet. So in that first colored column, that's just a quick glance at the 23 actions, and then all those dates are helping us track when we provide an update with some detailed information about that specific action. And our goal has been that throughout the year, we'll keep updating the board, the community, and our staff about our progress. So in the area of academic achievement, it's exciting to see that already 3 actions are complete. And just to provide more clarity by what we mean by that, you'll notice that in the center column, promote teacher collaboration is marked as complete. And then in the far right column, the focus, the top one there, and the create are also both marked complete. I marked those complete because we've started promoting teacher collaboration, the focus has started, and we have created a subcommittee for CTE. And so the intent of the action has started, and we will continue the work all year. So the success of the teacher collaboration means other groups are contacting Ed Services so that they have time to collaborate as well. Subcommittee will keep working and that focus will continue. But the intent of the action has been completed for this year. I do anticipate that you'll see actions for next school year that build on the work that was completed this year. All of the other actions there are in progress. They are in orange color, and they are all on the pathway to be completed by the end of the school year. In support systems, we have 2 actions that are complete, and the rest are in progress. So for the complete actions, we have expanded mental health and wellness centers, as we saw a highlight from Glenshire earlier tonight, and the CALM meeting and CALM team has been implemented. So again, even though we mark those actions as complete, the work will continue in both of those areas. And then all of the other actions in progress, most of them will be completed by the end of the year. I do want to highlight the 233 in the bottom right corner there. As I mentioned last week in the district update at the board meeting, we are beginning a review of the emergency operation plan that will take 2 years. So that will be partially complete by the end of this school year, and the next year will be fully complete. And for community connections, we have 6 of the 8 actions in progress, and here are the 2 that have not started yet. So I want to dig into a little bit of why they're currently on hold. So the 2 actions that we haven't started yet are addressing inclusion and belonging. One action is exploring the creation of a committee, and the other is identifying opportunities to increase inclusion and belonging district-wide. You'll see I put 3 other actions from other focus areas there. Those other actions are a precursor to the work in 3.1. My listening and learning tour, the student voice panels, and the work of the CON committee, including the recent morale survey data, will provide us with needed information so that our actions in 3.1 are more targeted. Progress will start on actions in 3.1 once we have a clear understanding of the needs. The other actions in community connections are in progress and are on target for completion this school year. So again, I want to recognize and acknowledge our executive cabinet and their teams for their hard work. These actions are complete or in progress thanks to their leadership and expertise. And that concludes my update for tonight.
Thank you very much for that. That is, I think I wrote back to you, it's always great to see what we have done and what we're not finished with, and then being able to keep track of where we are, and so that we don't, even if something is completed, that we keep it on the same picture so we can see that we don't want to lose what we've got. So that was good. Any other comments from board?
Just that I appreciate the way that you've presented the information too, that it makes it very easy to show exactly what's in process, what's been done, and then also sort of the next steps part of it. So I think it helps keep us in the community engaged as part of the whole process, just in kind of reflecting on what we're doing. So it's really great.
And Kirsten, anything from?
Well, just basically the same. I think we really welcome the sort of simplicity of the complexity, you know, like you really have done a good job of boiling something that is obviously extremely complicated down to like something that we can like tangibly understand without getting like, oh my God, this is so much. So I really appreciate that skill set that you possess. I think we've always had tremendously skilled leaders in the district in terms of everyone, and CLOs included. But this strategic planning process is something that can easily become too much and too, what's the word I'm looking for? Like overwhelming. Overwhelming. Yeah, overwhelming, where you can't find where you are in the dot matrix kind of thing. But here you are, lining it out. It's very clear, the goals, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, what you're looking at. So great work. Thank you.
Before we move on to negotiations 10.0, I definitely want to shout out to the Glenshire students, the new artwork that we have on the walls. Yeah. And so there's a lot of colors right there, and we didn't get to see it in front of the teachers or the print. Rachel. Yeah, there's tons. Like, that's a lot. So that's really, really good. Thank you for that. Moving on to 10.0, Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, and for this, I'll be turning to our Assistant Superintendent, Chief Business Officer, Mr. Todd Rivera.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Superintendent, Chief Learning Officer Kramer, President Driller, and members of the board. So tonight I'm pleased to bring you the AB 1200 public disclosure for proposed collective bargaining agreement with the California School Employees Association. We previously, last month, brought the same thing to you with regards to TTEA's tentative agreement. And what this is prior to the board considering or approving any negotiated bargaining agreement or tentative agreement with the bargaining unit, we're required to disclose the financial implications of that agreement prior to approval. So with that, we did come to a tentative agreement with CSEA, which you will see on 10.2 on the next item. And essentially what this AB 1200 does is highlight the cost of that agreement. Overall, just the two main compensatory items in the tentative agreement are a 5.34% ongoing increase to all classified employees moving forward, retroactive to July 1st, 2023. In addition, we have also included the annual benefit cap for the health and welfare contribution by $427 in each of the tiers, employee plus one, and employee plus family. And with those considerations, the overall cost in the first year with this agreement is approximately $938,000. On a multi-year basis in year two, the cost increases slightly to $995,000 roughly, and then in year three, the overall cost is $1,019,000. And I also should include that when we're looking at this agreement, we're also looking at the other agreements that have been approved by the board. So in addition, when you look at the multi-year projections, including this agreement, we've also included in the other revisions column the already agreed upon tentative agreement with TTA, but also we have also come to agreement for our management and confidential groups as well, and they will also be receiving the 5.34% ongoing increase in the additional $427 in the health and welfare benefit cap contribution. So one thing I should note is that, and we were aware of this when we agreed to this and negotiated, that we would be seeing some deficit spending in the current fiscal year and moving forward in the two subsequent fiscal years. So in 2023-24, we're projecting deficit spending of approximately $1.2 million. That is based off of our first interim budget, and we do expect that we might see some additional savings with vacant positions in the 23-24 year that may offset some of that. And then moving forward into 24-25, we expect to see a deficit of just under $400,000, and then similarly in 25-26, it would be about $412,000. This is something that the district feels we can absorb. Our reserve for economic uncertainty still stays above 13.5%, which is above what our board policy is of 10 to 16%. And if there's any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Thank you for this information. Any board comments on that? No, I laugh that you can just roll off those. I'm hoping that you're looking at a cheat sheet because you're just rolling them off. Thank you. That's just an info only. So thanks for the clarification. And I do definitely appreciate reminding us what we've committed to and what we've done, and the fact that we are deficit spending, but that's what we as a board and a district figured we could work with, but it's good to know that it's out there. And with that, I'll just move to 10.2, which is back to you, Superintendent Craig.
Yes, and for this item, we'll turn to our Executive Director of Human Resources, Mr. Mike Shepard.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, members of the board. I'm pleased to present for your consideration the tentative agreement we've reached with CSEA, and this does conclude successor negotiations and extends the contract through 2026. And very pleased with the team, how prepared CSEA was to come to the table. And through our collaborative work, we achieved this in 2 meetings, which is a record for me. But it just speaks to the collaborative nature of the district and the way we're able to come together and problem solve as a team. And just a quick summary, Article 6 grievance was really just, if you look at the tentative agreement, we were just seeking to clarify and standardize the language because we had different operational definitions for working day or business day. So we included a definition, 2.11, that defined the working day is any day the district office is open for business. So that's very clear that when we're open, it's a work day. Even though it may not be an official work day for an employee, it's still a business day. And then also, as we formalized adding Juneteenth, which is a legal holiday, to the calendar. So June 19th here on out will be a holiday. We increased personal necessity leave for 12-month employees from 7 to 10 days. And I won't recap the wages because we just went over that. But hiring, we were grateful. Previously, we could only place new employees up to step 6, but with talking with CSEA, we got movement up to step 7. So that will help us in recruiting and acknowledging new hires with prior experience in like positions. And we still have a couple of things left that we're going to talk about this spring that we weren't able to complete in time for the tentative agreement, but we amicably said, let's take some more time and be thoughtful and come together this spring. So the last bullet just says we have a few more things to talk about for this year. So with that, any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you very much for that, Michael. And board questions on that? No, I can't tell you how happy we are that it was a record 2-day for your negotiations. But I think that it's great. There's a lot of work that went into it, but I think that, as you said, that working together positively to try to come up with a solution helps everyone involved, kids and teachers and staff. So hats off to that. Any public comment? With that, I will bring it back to the diocese for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the 2023-24 tentative agreement between TTUSD and CSEA with contract language changes.
And a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for that. Moving on to 11.0, the consent. Superintendent Kramer.
No changes tonight.
Thank you. And would anyone care to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
In a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that. And moving to 13.0, Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, and for this item, we're going to turn to Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Logan Melanie.
Thank you, Superintendent Kramer, President Driller, and Board of Trustees. In November 1988, California voters passed Proposition 98, also known as the Classroom Instructional Improvement and Accountability Act. This ballot initiative provided California's public schools with a stable funding source. In return, all public schools in California are required annually to prepare school accountability report cards, called SARCs, and disseminate them to the public. SARCs are intended to provide the public with important information about each public school and communicate its progress in achieving its goals. The school accountability report card shall include, but is not limited to, assessment of the following school conditions: student achievement in and progress toward meeting English language arts, mathematics, and other academic goals, progress toward reducing dropout rates, estimated expenditures per student and types of services funded, any assignment of teachers outside their subject areas of competence, quality and currency of textbooks and other instructional materials, the availability of qualified personnel to provide counseling and other student support services, safety, cleanliness, and adequacy of school facilities, classroom discipline and climate for learning, teacher and staff training, and curriculum improvement programs, and more. All sites have completed their 2022-2023 SARCs, which are published during the 2023-2024 school year. It is staff's recommendation that the board approve all TTUSD sites' 2022-2023 school accountability report cards. Are there any questions from your review over the last few weeks or comments from the board?
Thank you for that. Is there any public comment on that before we start with our board? Any board questions, comments? Thank you, Danielle.
I'll comment. So this is the second year that I've had the opportunity to read these, and I find them fascinating, and I continue to plug for parents to read them, and not just for your own school that your kids are attending, but just to get a sense of how the district is doing overall. And I really appreciate the attention to detail that's put in them. There's just a lot of interesting data. But I think it's also an opportunity for us to reflect, since that's sort of a good point in time for us to do that, and recognize that we're doing great work and we will continue to do great work, but we always have more to do. So I think COVID was really hard, and some of that data kind of is reflected in some of these reports, but that you can see it starting to come back again, and that the achievement scores are, kind of continuing to grow. And I don't put a ton of weight on that. I know that that's probably not what teachers want, but I always tell my kids, like, it's a snapshot in time. It's like how that student came prepared that day, or what was on their mind, or whatever it is. So we can't always use that as a total reflection of our district. But I think in just total looking at everything, we work on everything that's identified in here, whether it's getting students to school, getting them to graduate, working on their math and reading skills. And I just so appreciate the approach that we take as a district to help every student.
And if I quickly could just speak to, once and if approved tonight, they will be live on the website for all school sites, and then our district front page as well, tomorrow morning in both English and Spanish.
Thank you for that. And that is, Amber, I appreciate you being here too, because a lot of what we're doing doesn't always get out to the people that really could use the information. And I do appreciate that you spoke of getting it to the other people to look at, like look at the other schools and see what we're doing. And it is one of those things where, Amber, your role is huge. And we appreciate and acknowledge that you have done a great job getting it out there, because now people are, we are making front page news, so I think it's been awesome. But these are just, again, a lot of work for the teachers and principals to put it all together, as well as you. But it does give us a good picture, and I think that's the hardest part, is that we don't always get to see the whole pictures, because there's just too much going on. But this is a pretty, I wouldn't say it's 25 pages or whatever, it's definitely a lot of information, but it celebrates what we are and why we're here. So thank you. With that, I do believe there is an action item following that. Would anyone care to make a motion to approve the accountability report cards?
I'll make a motion to approve the school accountability report cards, which I love is called SARCs.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much for that. Moving on to 14.0, personnel.
And for this, we will turn back to Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. For your consideration, we're pleased to present to you a meet and confer agreement with our confidential employees. And as a reminder, they are unrepresented, so it's not a formal negotiations process, but we did sit down and gathered feedback and had a discussion about interests and what they would like to see. So we did come to an agreement of 5.34% ongoing retroactive raise to July 1, the same increase as other groups for the annual health benefit contribution. And we also added to match the certificated employees' stipends for a master's degree and/or a doctorate. So to acknowledge our employees who have those advanced degrees. And then we also increased personal necessity leave to up to 10 days per year, and 3 of those days could be utilized with no reason. And with that and the corresponding salary schedule, any questions?
Thank you for that, Mr. Shepherd. And is there public comment? And any board comments? I wanted to say that I think we all agree, and we're thankful that we're getting all of the entities at the same level. And I know that management at one point during COVID or during other times has stepped out of that salary schedule adjustment, and we acknowledge that. But I think it's nice to be able to put everybody back on the same page. And with that, it is a motion. So would anyone like to make a motion to approve 14.1?
I'll I'll move to approve the meet and confer agreement between TTUSD and the confidential employees.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And 14.2?
Yes, Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. And we also have a meet and confer agreement with our other non-represented group, which are classified in certificate of management. And it's usually referred to as a Me Too agreement, but we settled with the same value, 5.34%, and $427 annual health benefit contribution addition. And so with that and the corresponding salary schedule, any questions?
Thank you. Any public comment? Seeing none. We have to say it because you're sitting right here. Any board comment? And with that, a motion to approve 14.2.
I'll move to approve the meet and confer agreement between TTUSD and the management employees.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And 14.3, Superintendent Kramer.
Mr. Shepherd.
Thank you. This item is another MOU with TTEA to address some changes that we mutually agreed to for high school athletic director compensation. And that job over the years has significantly increased in responsibility and time. And so we're raising the compensation from 8% to 12%. And that's retroactive to the July 1 of '23. And we also increased the release periods because the athletic directors spend an inordinate amount of time tracking students, how are they doing, they have to have a minimum grade point average, so they're connecting with teachers, and this just takes a lot of time, and to do that during only with one period, it's just not sufficient. So with that, any questions?
Thank you for that. Mr. Shepherd, any public comment? And board comments? I will say I do appreciate the extensive discussion that we had when we asked questions prior to this, understanding what actually is an athletic director and what's going on with that, and the differences between the two schools and why that happens. And so I appreciate that understanding for us, because I think it has changed and it has morphed, and I think that, again, listening to what our staff is saying, we're acknowledging that it isn't working. And that was what I was mentioning about the Glenshire Glenshire staff, is that we now really need to look at you and care for you, and I think that was well represented in this new MOU. Any other board comments? No. So 14.3, anyone want to make an motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the MOU number 6 with TTEA for changes to high school athletic director compensation.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. And that moves us to 15.0. Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, and for this item, we'll turn to our Executive Director of Student Services, Dr. Anna Marie Cohen.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Kramer. And good evening, President Driller, Board of Trustees, and community. Tonight I am presenting an overview of the TTUSD naloxone Training, Administration, and Distribution Plan. The district is committed to keeping our students and communities safe and is participating in the statewide initiative to make naloxone available in schools, provide training on its administration, and provide education on the prevention of opioid-related overdoses and deaths. Tonight, you've been presented with the policy and procedural manual developed with our school nursing team, and you will be presented with an updated board policy for administering medication and monitoring health conditions containing the updates related to naloxone administration. Naloxone is a generic name for Narcan, a life-saving medication that reverses an opioid overdose such as fentanyl. Naloxone has no effect on an individual if opioids are not present in their system. With naloxone as part of an emergency protocol on school campus, trained nurses, administrators, teachers, and students can quickly administer it to prevent overdose deaths by reversing life-threatening respiratory depression. This, combined with school and community prevention education, is key in addressing a public health crisis of opioid-related deaths. The Coalition for Safe Schools and Communities supports local education agencies participating in the naloxone distribution project as a best practice for student, staff, safety, and wellness. The project sets TTUSD up to provide education and training to our students and our staff. Our schools are now equipped to respond quickly, with each site having naloxone available in the wellness centers and nurse and administration offices. The rationale for development of a training, administration, and distribution plan is in the response to the opioid epidemic in the United States. Our region is not immune, and there has been an increase in opioid overdoses in Placer and Nevada counties. The policy updates and procedural guidance is in direct response to the Assembly bills and Senate bills passed over the last 2 legislative sessions, with recommendations to update board policies and include our policies and procedures in our district safety plans. TTUSD applied to the Department of Healthcare Services to be a participant and has received 192 units of naloxone. In addition, we have a standing order with the California Department of Public Health and have agreed to participate in opioid overdose prevention and treatment training program requirements. Training has been provided from no overdose at Nevada County Public Health to 11th and 12th graders at North Tahoe High and Truckee High, and Tahoe Forest Hospital has provided training through the Wellness Center at Truckee High School, and our school nursing team has provided training to staff and students at Sierra High School, Truckee River Program, and staff at Convocation. As a condition of participation in the naloxone distribution project, training must include the causes of an opioid overdose, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and how to contact appropriate emergency medical services, and how to administer an opioid antagonist, naloxone. Our schools are committed to the safety and well-being of our students. In collaboration with our community agency partners, our school nurses are committed to the safe and effective management of opioid-related overdoses and support TTUSD's efforts to enhance our emergency preparedness. Here are additional resources. These will be added to our website, and they are available to our community and students in our wellness centers. And I'd like to thank you, and are there any questions from the board?
Thank you for that, Dr. Cohen. Is there any public comment on that? Yes, Jane, come on up.
Yes.
So, can I just repeat that? The question was that, will transportation drivers have that access as well as field trips?
Yes, and we've been providing training to those staff as well.
Thank you, Jane Loomis. Any other board comments?
I hate that we have to talk about this, but I feel like it's so critical that we have this available in our schools from that safety aspect. And hopefully as a society, we can get our head around what this opioid crisis is and our fentanyl issues that we have. But it's just a difficult topic, honestly. But I really appreciate having this brought forward to us.
Well said. And again, it is one of the things we don't want to talk about, but I like being proactive and being able to say that we are trying, as you said, we're not immune to it. I think we live in a bubble up here sometimes because we don't see a lot of things. But I think it's important that we are on the forefront of it all, and we are not immune. We have kids that are having issues as well. So tough topic, and I'm sure you've seen, yeah. So anyway, thank you for that. And it is a information only, so just appreciate the acknowledgement of that and that the team players, everyone's on board. Moving now to 16.0, Superintendent Kramer.
Yes, and for this we go back to Dr. Cohen.
Okay, thank you again. This is a first read of proposed revisions to Administrative Regulation 5141.21, administering medication and monitoring health conditions. This regulation updated is updated to reference new law, AB 1722, 2023, which authorizes districts to hire a licensed vocational nurse following governing board approval, that a diligent search was conducted for a suitable credentialed nurse, and includes definitions that pertain to new legislation and reflect new law, AB 1651, 2023, which, one, includes holders of an activity supervisor clearance certificate as those for whom districts are required to provide epinephrine auto-injectors if they have volunteered to administer them in an emergency and have received training. And two, requires schools that provide epinephrine auto-injectors to store them in an accessible location and include that location in annual notices to staff. The regulation is also updated to reflect new law, AB 1283, 2023, which authorizes districts to provide emergency stock albuterol inhalers to school nurses or trained personnel who have volunteered who may use the inhaler to provide emergency medical aid to persons suffering or reasonably believed to be suffering from respiratory distress. And new law, SB 114, 2023, which appropriates funding to county offices of education for the purpose of purchasing and maintaining a sufficient stock of opioid antagonists for districts. And new law, AB 1166, 2023, which provides that employees and volunteers who render emergency treatment at the scene of an opioid overdose or suspected opioid overdose by administering an opioid antagonist will not be liable for civil damages resulting from an act or omission unless such act constitutes gross negligence or willful or wanton misconduct. And new law, AB 1810, 2022, which authorizes a school nurse or a volunteer designated and trained to administer emergency anti-seizure medication to a student diagnosed with seizures, a seizure disorder, or epilepsy who has been prescribed such medication from a healthcare provider and is suffering from a seizure. This is an information item only, and this will be brought back for approval in February. Are there any questions?
Thank you for reading through all that. A lot of laws. Any public comment? Any board comments on that? Okay, so then we'll move to 16.2, then we can make a decision to accept them for next month when we get them. Okay.
Dr. Cohen?
Okay, this is a first read of proposed revisions to Board Policy 6146.4, differential graduation and competency standards for students with disabilities to reflect new laws SB 114 and SB 141. Students with disabilities are entitled to a course of study that provides them with a free, appropriate public education, and that modifications to the district's regular course may be needed on an individualized basis to provide FAPE. In accordance with law, each student's individualized education program, IEP, team shall determine the appropriate goals as well as any appropriate individual accommodations necessary for measuring the academic achievement and functional performance of the student on state and district-wide assessments. These new laws allow for exemptions to district graduation requirements above and beyond the required statewide course requirements. It applies to students with disabilities who entered 9th grade in 2022-2023 and revises the eligibility criteria for the exemptions. In order to qualify for the exemption, the student must be eligible to take an alternative assessment, and that the student completes state standards aligned with coursework to meet the statewide coursework specified in Education Code 5122.53. And this first read is being brought to you as an information item only and will be brought back for adoption in March. At that time, I will also present to the board on procedural guidance as it applies to each of the high schools. Are there any questions?
Thank you for that. Any public comment and board comments? Okay, so those both 16.1 and 2 will come back and they will be in February. So thank you for that. Moving on to 17.0 board business. Comments from the board? None. Danielle.
Just that I love the artwork. It's so expressive and colorful, and I feel like that's just such a reflection of our school right now, so it just makes me very happy.
I do love it. It's great. I actually went into a third grade class at in Trout Lake and made a comment that I loved it, and then one of the little boys gave it to me. I had to explain to the mom that I'm really sorry, if she really wants it, she can have it back, but it's on my wall. No comments from me. I am going to go to Truckee High tomorrow. Logan, I know. And I'm going to check out the Wellness Center and work with Arncha, yes, Thompson for the COM meeting, which I know I'm psyched, well, because we are leading. With that, we'll adjourn.